Hello everyone and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason, where today we are taking a look at a game that was played on Hades Pawns, a crystal-laden battlefield full of a bunch of water holes and Duracell battery crystals, going to be fueling these commanders' obsessions with conquering this planet. And today, leading the blue team in their conquest of the galaxy, a commander, of course, that goes by the name of Madka. Madka clocking in at 32 open skill here with silver chevrons as well, and playing as an armada commander in the backline. Going to be showing us what they've got here as either an air support or as an armada commander, more likely just playing as a support role here. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised to see Madka go into some sort of supporting vehicles, for instance, which are a little slower to get started, but if you're playing in the backline, you have a little bit more time. No, looks like we're going to go for bots. Okay. Not the wrong answer either. Of course, as vehicles, you have those amphibious tanks that can sneak around the sides and do a lot of cheeky things on maps with a lot of water holes, but vehicles also quite a bit more expensive, so a little bit harder to put out on the field with your teammate. Spawning on the other side of the map, right up here on the front line, a red commander, a Cortex commander that goes by the name of Maxroll. Maxroll clocking in at 32 open skill as well, but with bronze chevrons instead of silver. Means a little bit less experience in-game, but don't be fooled. The red commander certainly playing an aggressive playstyle here with these Cortex bots and looking to get some of those grunts out on the field about as quickly as possible. Apparently Attain pretty upset about the upset about the map or something. I'm not entirely sure. Anyway, a little bit of a banter back and forth already between the red team. Tensions are hot between the red team right now as they get their way underway. Buddyst, the yellow commander right here, sending a resbot out on the field, and I'd love to see it. Yeah, these resbots are going to be the name of the game right now on this map. These crystals provide so much energy. In fact, if we just hold on, if we take the reclaim command and we stretch it out a little ways, you can see it's 11,000 energy just in these orange crystals, maybe closer to 12,000 energy just in the orange crystals here available to the yellow commander. Means, of course, that when you go ahead and reclaim all those, you're going to be able to fund some of that earlier T1 energy that's a little bit more expensive to produce. I'm thinking advanced solar panels. I'm thinking geothermals, if they're available. I don't know. Yeah, I don't think there's any on this map. No geothermals here. Certainly some early aggression here, though. Ticks moving across the battlefield, and it feels like the sound is so low. Oh, it's my headphones. There we go. Lovely. Taking the backline now of Sodfather, the orange commander here, is going to go ahead and defend with an LLT. Oh, metal extractor does go down, but at the very least the LLT cleans up the rest of that. Are these looking a little different? I guess not. That just looks way thinner than I ever noticed. Maybe I just never took a good look at the Armada T1 constructor and never realized just how flat-faced those things look like. They look like one of those flathead snakes. Anyway. Couple more ticks causing problems all over the place here. The hot pink commander, ooh, having a hard time cleaning them up. Yeah, those rovers, they really struggle against the ticks. Finally able to clean those bad boys up, but they do get the metal extractor for their efforts. If you think about metal for metal cost, the single tick going down for, or two ticks going down for a metal extractor is still an efficient trade. But here we go. This is fabulous. Grunts in the backline now. The orange constructor reclaimed both the metal extractors for the pink commander. A little bit unfortunate, but it pays for it with its life, and my goodness, here comes the bombing run, too. A double-pronged attack on the northern side means that the green and the, the powder blue commander will both send forces forward to go ahead and ravage this base. Nicely done right now. Bomber coming across, it's going to deploy its payload. Ooh, onto the red base. What a beautiful bombing run right here. Bombs away right on top of the wind turbines, the metal extractors, and the solar panel. My goodness. If there ever was an efficient bombing run for a single bomber, I think that might just be it. 2 metal extractors and 5 or 6 metal, or wind turbines rather, going down right there. What a wonderful job with air. Obviously a little risky, right? If you open with air, then you're not going to have anything to defend yourself with. It looks like Atian has gone into air eventually here. Went for a bot lab start, though, to try and get a better economy overall, but it meant no fighters were around to save the day. Schmig and Bootist trying to duke it out right here. Apparently going to accept the commander trade. Ooh, maybe. With those units, I think the yellow commander probably... Ooh, will get away with their life. Oh, just barely brought down by the pawn on the other side right there. My goodness, what a close call. The yellow commander maybe might have been able to play that slightly better and able to... slightly better, maybe would have been able to walk away with the commander intact, but obviously... That bit of micro is very difficult to pull off. Now it's going to be Jeremy, Joe, and Pinchai vying for control over this midsection here. D-gun's fired away right now from the brown commander, who's just trying to deny those wrecks. Manages to D-gun down one of them. Will D-gun down both of them. Okay. Fair play. At the end of the day, it's going to be Pinchai who gets a slight metal advantage from that, but nothing much as the brown commander D-guns those wrecks to deny them to the enemy. Not a bad idea. Obviously, reclaiming that metal is the perfect ideal situation, but not always available, and so I think this is a great second option just to make sure that that 2,500 metal doesn't go back into enemy hands. A smart move from the red team. Maximum aggression over here from Matka and Matechko, the green and blue commanders pushing forward with ruthless efficiency right now. Sodfather and Killian trying their best to hold on, but every second that these units push forward, they're losing ground. And suddenly you start losing metal extractors too. Yep, all the metal extractors here for the blue commander taken in the row. Sodfather still without mexes set up on the orange facilities, and he doesn't have much to defend against it either. These LLTs can't really outrange the Rocketeers. Means that eventually this is doomed to go down. Aggravators and Rocketeers firing in unison, and eventually blasting down those two twin LLTs. Sodfather now forced to micro on the front line in order to avoid a lot of these rockets here. Or not. You can also eat the rockets at 4% of a commander's HP per rocket hit. It's not much, but every rocket you fire does bring that commander closer and closer to death, and you can always fire from outside of range of the commander too. Another commander explosion, another commander trade right here in the midsection of the map. My goodness, the purple and the pink commanders both going down right there, as suddenly 2,500 more metal is left on the front lines. Resbot immediately in place right here, though, for max roll will mean that at the very least the red team pulls back some of the metal from this wreckage. Obviously ideal to get some of that metal into your hands, and there we go. Two Resbots now pulling 115 metal a second. Those commanders are going to be eaten up quite nicely. These Rocketeers want to kill those Resbots. They really, really do. The red commander looking to spend that metal as quickly as possible here. Handing a bunch of it over to Sodfather. Actually, not a bad idea, of course. Handing over the metal to the losing lane so that hopefully we can use it, but as you can see, losing these units one by one means suddenly all that 1,000 or so metal is just dead weight on the front line. Oh no, and with Resbots in the front here as well, all these Rocketeers are just going to get resurrected or reclaimed by the blue commander, inadvertently throwing more and more metal towards the blue commander problem. Lightning turret now firing away here. Going to do decently to defend against these Rocketeers. I do believe it outranged them ever so slightly. At 430 range versus, 475. Okay, Rocketeers actually outranging the lightning turret. Means they can fire away at it, but when it's in its little hidden away mode, it's not really going to take much damage from them. Down goes another pair of commanders. My goodness, trades left, right, and center right here as the hot pink and green commanders both go down. One after another right here on the southern side. Rocket trucks trying to fire away at these static defenses here, blasting down the beamer turrets and everything else along the way. It looks like the Dragon Claw got obliterated as well here. Sodfather in a losing way right now. Trying to build back into this game, but out of metal and out of, well, build power, really. Yeah, going for another construction turret, but that's where all the metal is going. Janus connections are pretty good. This is really the advantage, though. The blue commander pushing forward right now. Just a textbook good push. The blue commander pushing with those Resbots, keeping the units alive. Enough that he can snowball with them, and enough that we can push forward on this front here. Using the beamers as a sort of crawl space to move forward. The beamer turret can outrange those Rocketeers. Means they cannot engage without getting lasered down by the blue high tracking laser beam there mounted atop that pole. It's got precision servos to adjust that head at lightning speed so that no unit can escape its blue gaze of death. Nice Deegan right there from Matka as well. Man, what a good showcase of just classic beyond all reason. Mace is here engaging the Rocketeers. Not sure why these aggravators were sent forward on their own here. Definitely not an assault force that you want to just be throwing away. They're a little bit too expensive for that, and obviously reclaiming them is going to give the enemy a massive advantage. Mace is now engaging against the medium tanks as well, trying to blast those down. Maces versus medium tanks. Typically, in equal numbers, the medium tanks are going to win, but that's because, of course, they're quite a bit more expensive, too. Mace is a little bit more disposable than that, so it does mean that you can get up to those snowballing numbers pretty quickly there. One Resbot to eat up all this wreckage is going to be what the pink commander needs, and indeed it does start up right now. Suddenly, though, Sodfather is in a terrible way. Beamer turret easily cleaning up all of these ticks that are being spammed out right now. This always feels like a little bit of a desperation move whenever you see those ticks just sprinting forward here, hoping that your opponent is going to make some kind of mistake or allow you to, at the very least, get a couple of units through their defensive line. Technically speaking, there is a little bit of a path right here that you can sneak some units through on. Maxroll making the best of an effort, though, trying to push forward with a whole bunch of units right now, breaking through the midsection of the map. And you know what? Matka's completely cut off. Yeah, Madka, the blue commander, now completely cut off from reinforcements. No more Rocketeers, no more anything coming out of the backline. We're going for T2 in the back, which is why there's no units coming out. But it means that suddenly there's a whole bunch of red forces marching directly towards the green base. First Sheldon is out of the lab, but we're going to need a lot more than that to defend here. I think Fiends would probably be a better option against a lot of this fast-paced T1 stuff. Rocketeers managed to pop down the LLT there. Now the aggravators are firing at the T2 lab. Do they have enough firepower to bring it down, though? I'm not entirely convinced. Then again, they do a decent burst of damage every time that they fire, and they do fire relatively frequently. Sheldon trying desperately to clean all this up. Those aggravators need to take his T2 lab down. They're trying to get some value for their money here. The more you micro them, though, the less time they're spending firing away right here. And so I think just barely by the skin of his teeth, the Green Commander will manage to keep that laboratory alive. Just barely. Popping this E-Converter might not be a bad idea either. The chain reaction might do a little bit of damage. There we go. Pops the laboratory for a little bit more HP, and the thugs are still firing away as well. Max roll. Sprinting forward. A dead sprint from the red commander at this point. The lab goes down, but so too does the commander. My goodness. What a push right there. I can't believe it. Okay, so the midsection of the map has been completely cleaned up. The red forces are moving around in every which direction. Suddenly, the purple commander is forced to retreat, and pink has all the time in the world to rebuild this entire front line. Red forces continuing to encroach on this base as a Resbot tries to sneak in to try and reclaim some of this. Lovely stuff right there. We're going to try and rebuild the T2 lab right now. That's a big, expensive metal that if it goes down again is going to be a huge loss. Already nearly 1,000 metal has been put in, and boom, away it goes. Resbot here trying to eat up as much as possible. Eventually cleaned up nicely right there by the Sheldon that were pumped out, but now the Sheldon are beset upon by a whole bunch of grunts. What a tricky battle. Frontline pushing forward right now. Sodfather trying to rebuild into this game. We do have this long-range, heavy area laser control tower. Area control heavy laser tower. That's the right words. That's the words in the order that they're supposed to be. There we go. Nicely done. Yeah, Madka unexpectedly pushed all the way back from the front line here. This could be the advantage that the red team needs to try and pull back into this game. Certainly sweeping across the midsection here as loads of T2 comes up. Yeah, T2 Rocket Spider is going to be decent against this T1, especially some of the slower stuff, those thugs and aggravators particularly. But those grunts are going to have a wonderful time running right on past them. Same story about the Sheldon, of course, as those Sheldon are quite slow on their own, at least compared to some of the T1 assault units, like the grunts and the pawns and that sort of thing. It means that without an escort of more mobile units, those Sheldon are as good as dead. Just good old-fashioned T1 vehicles pushing forward. What a hilarious play. So this was a misjudge here from the blue team. Misgauging how much force their opponent was putting into the match here and deciding to both go for T2 at the same time. So the blue and the green commander both went for T2. And the problem with that, obviously, is that suddenly you're in this situation where you both dumped nearly 3,000 metal into a laboratory. And that's 3,000 extra metal that could have been on the front line deflecting this push or denying it as much as possible. Suddenly the red team is now sweeping across the northern section of the map. The air support has been limited here as there's enough anti-air in the form of these missile trucks to shoot down any shuriken that might be able to assist. One of the few ways that you might deflect an attack of this scale that's rampaging its way across your base. Just like this, a swarm of T1, my goodness, turns this game around. The Penguin calls a resign vote. That's the purple commander here whose base is in imminent danger. Thugs and Janus tanks and shell shockers and all the T1 your mind and heart can conjure now firing away here at the purple base. My goodness. Janus missiles hit hard. I think we need welders here. Welders ideal for dealing with lighter, faster units because once the welder is in position, it can do chain damage, right? It can chain its lightning attack between a bunch of those weaker units, and that oftentimes means it'll clean up multiple ticks or multiple pawns, multiple grunts, all those in one blast. Makes them really, really efficient. Uh-oh. Amphibious tanks now popping out. There are shurikens in place, and I think there's enough of them here as well to try and pop out and paralyze these. These amphibious tanks are quite resistant to EMP. That's why they're taking so long for these shuriken to actually paralyze, but eventually they will be cleaned up nicely here. Shuriken going to be able to paralyze some of those tanks that did pop up, and eventually we should be able to send some units over to go and deal with those as well. Cyan commander, or pardon me, the Seafoam green commander going down right there to the maroon forces. better do better, the Lavender commander trying to reclaim from the front, but it's always a little bit worrying, right? When you see your ally commander go down to regular units, you know you need to be a little bit careful, but there we go. The red team, my goodness, in a turnaround game, I'll remind you here, the blue team was at this point on the line right now, pushed all the way back with overwhelming spam, a beautiful run by, a pincer maneuver from the red team, and eventually overwhelming firepower pushes the blue team back, and means the red team steals the victory in today's game of Beyond All Reason. What a back and forth, a surprise ending if there ever was one, and an absolute treat to enjoy. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you in the very next game of Beyond All Reason. Peace out, everybody.